Hello and welcome. Warm aloha to everyone from Hawaii. This is Worth Grace, and I am here today with a very special guest. We have Aurora Juliana Ariel, PhD, Chairwoman, CEO, and founder of AOS. Yes, is that correct?
AOS, yeah.
AOS. She is the chair, president, and founder of the Institute of Advanced Healing, the Quest University, and the Earth Vision Foundation. And she's really a remarkable person right now in the planetary conversation about peace and personal responsibility and self-healing. And I just want to share a little bit more information about her before we begin. She's the #1 best-selling author, creator of The Quest, and award-winning author of the Earth 2012 series. She's a pioneering doctor and healer who developed a breakthrough psychological healing system with cutting-edge tools to heal an ailing humanity and help end suffering on Earth. Her programs transform lives, actualize potentials, and help individuals worldwide live healthier, more fulfilling lives. So it's a pleasure to have you here. We're talking a little bit about the book today. I'm introducing 2013 Messages of Peace from Hawaii. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you here on the line.
Thank you so much, Worth. It's been an incredible gift and to know you, to be working to contribute, my offering in this beautiful book you've created. I can't wait to see all the lives that will be uplifted and inspired and transformed by all these messages of peace by all these different authors. So exciting to launch this year in particular with such a beautiful offering.
Well, I really appreciate that because it's a body of work that really represents many individual visions coming into one. And I spoke with one of the authors the other day, and we had I'm so happy to hear you on the call today because it's such a powerful moment. And when I was speaking with one of the authors the other day, there are 100 in total, and she said that when she made the decision to submit a piece, or an entry rather, to the book, because it's about peace.
Yeah, a piece of peace for the book.
Right. And she said when she went to write and submit this, she had, what she said so touched me. She said she felt by writing and by participating in this project, she felt as though she was getting into a lifeboat with other human beings who felt inspired by a similar vision. And I just love that image of getting into a lifeboat with other human beings who are committed to a particular ideology and sort of swimming through this ocean of possibility. So I just wanted to start in by leading with that image, and with water and with possibility and with sharing concepts of safety and strength and vision. And I would love to hear you talk a little bit about, first of all, what inspired you to write for the book and how this relates to your program, The Quest, which is your signature holistic program at this point in time. So I'd love to just start there.
Thank you. I was very touched to be invited into what felt like an amazing offering at an incredible time on the planet. I had just been traveling a lot last year through 2012, meeting with indigenous elders, spiritual elders, and seeing how this awareness was brimming up, not only carried forward by them and their traditions and their knowledge, but through so many awakening souls worldwide, that we were right on the brink, that we had come to a pivotal point in time in our evolutionary cycle, not only of the planet and humanity, but as the awakening souls that largely started coming in around 60 years ago, that are paving the way for the new world. And I came to realize that 2012 was really the gateway to the new world, that at this point in time, we're all coming of age, the forerunners are coming of age, that have a particular commitment and a drive for assisting the planet to make it through these challenging waters into this more glorious, enlightened time. And we've done a great job so far. So as we came into 2013, I had the awareness that, wow, 2013 feels so light-filled. It's brimming with possibilities. And it's like this sea that's sparkling and just brimming with life and possibilities. And then as I went into my heart, I realized, at the center and core of who I am, is this amazing sea of brimming, limitless possibilities. And that it is that inner part of us that can actualize the new world. And I think that this offering out the gate, these messages of peace, and especially, carrying that signature of Hawaii and the aloha spirit and the love that we know here in these islands and the loving interchanges, it's so powerful and offering at a pivotal time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I love just the energy and the spaciousness that comes through with your writing and also your presence. And I know just from talking with you a little bit, that's certainly something that you bring into all of your work, and you've spent years and years developing this process which is based on so much experience and is now this distillation, this crystallization that you have developed in order to offer to humanity at this time to help support the actualization of these visions of peace. So I think what's really powerful about this book that you've participated in, that all of these authors have participated in, is that we're clearly holding a vision. And then the next step becomes, okay, we're holding a vision, so now how are we going to build that world, or to create that experience in our lives in a way that's practical? So with that in mind, I'd really like to hear a little bit about what the Quest program is and how it relates to actualizing peace in your life.
Great question, and I'm so excited to share about the Quest. It's my life's work, and it is the result of many years of pioneering work and research directly in the psyche, and then with the most impossible cases that would show up on my doorstep, as well as my own immense challenges, Mount Everest, dark nights of the soul, passages that compelled me to be on a quest for truth, to find out what is at the heart of suffering, and is there a cure? And of course, early on that took me into a tasting of, I guess you could say, or a delving into the spiritual traditions of the different world, religions as well as movements, to find, running threads of truth And also, where I did find later in my work mythology, because as I then was guided to go directly into the psyche, to really hear what is the truth from different souls coming forward for healing, and the understanding and knowledge and information that would be accessed in the sessions and in my own personal sessions, I found that when it comes to suffering and peace on earth, the world is largely under a vast mythology. And it's very essential in this time when so many have come to the planet, are encoded with this vision of a transformed world, are on fire to help birth it, that we understand it. So, in simplest terms, let me share one of my most profound findings. And that was that all the ills of humanity are coming out of the psyche of humanity. So let me explain. This is such an important key, because in the past we have believed that when we suffer, when we endure hardships, when big storms happen or bad things happen, that we're getting punished. Now in the West, because you're a sinner, in the East, because it's your karma, but nevertheless, it's a payback. And ingrained underneath that mythology is this strange idea that we are inherently bad and we must purify ourselves and redeem ourselves through suffering, through hardship and lack and struggle, to be pure, to be restored, to be redeemed. I never once, in thousands of cases, found even 1% of this to be true.
Wow.
The truth I found is that there is a virus, you could say, running in the human computer system. Our minds are like a computer, and this virus is belief systems that are at very deep levels, mostly beneath our conscious awareness. So they're at the unconscious and subconscious levels of the psyches of humanity, of all of us. And these beliefs, I am bad, I'm a sinner, I have to pay for my sins, life is struggle, life is hard, being happy or experiencing pleasure is bad, sexuality is bad, or, there's mountains of these beliefs, but they all come down to these core ones that are, I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving, I need to suffer, I need to purify myself, I need to redeem myself. And these beliefs, I found, form patterns that start running. So that's the virus in the human computer. And what happens then, because we now know we're in a holographic universe where we're in a very mutable field, a changeable field, our consciousness can affect, which the indigenous elders forever have known, and we're just catching up to understanding that then these patterns start playing out the movies in our life. And that is why if let's say a woman has early childhood abuse with somebody that she loves, right? Dad, let's say.
Okay.
There'll be a wiring that occurs in her psyche, in this computer system of her mind, that will intertwine love and violation, and if it's painful, abuse, and warp that little girl's sense of reality on an unconscious level about love and relationships. That woman then will draw in for love fall in love with men who will fulfill that. So let's say there's been, physical abuse in a harsh environment, and that is the type of man that woman will be relegated to being with. And to date, there's no cure in the outer world, except for I did find a cure and a remedy, and I have helped countless women free themselves from this wiring. That is because up until now, we haven't understood the power of the unconscious and the subconscious to create these movies and life scenarios, and we haven't known that our relationships, our financial state, our health, and everything is a result of what's happening inside us, and a mix between our authentic, innate, pure self, or spirit in us, and the equation of the what is called the shadow or subconscious personalities and unconscious self. So the cure then, I found, is not to only have awareness of, I have this pattern, and I draw these type of men in, and I'm never going to pick one of those again, which really doesn't work, because invariably if 10 men come to court you and you have this programming, you will only fall in love with the abuser until this is healed. So I found that to heal the dire conditions in ourselves, in our lives, and on the planet, that this level has to be addressed. And I developed a method that isolates that part in the unconscious, the subpersonality or group that is responsible for that patterning and those histories, and how to actually heal and transform it so that wiring and that virus is cured, is healed, and that person steps free into a new future, a future without abuse. And this can be one session sometimes, might be a journey. But invariably we can heal the dire conditions in our lives. We can change these sad movies. And we must if we want peace on earth, because these are the movies that have kept humanity suffering rather than having peace on earth. So the way to have peace is for all of us to do this work and to change the inner movies so that our innate, authentic self can be reflected, our pure, true essence, the wise, loving, amazing part of us can now take command of our lives and bring its vision into our world.
Wow. Well, I really love what you just shared, because really there are two things that stand out here. Is one is this beautiful view that we do not have to claim this identity of these, I want to say, diseased, distorted patterns. I love what you're saying here about this is a virus, and perceiving it, for example, this person might say, well, I've been abused, I've been neglected, I've been, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in the story. And really what I'm hearing you say is that there's an invitation on the table to reframe it and say, I'm carrying a human viral stream
Yes.
that I can step away from and out of. And so that's one thing that I love, because that's so empowering, because that means this person is no longer owning that story, and there's a way out, there's a door.
Yes. And that's the step one. Step one is to understand that when these things come up in us, when the anger arises, if we feel hatred or jealousy, if we're plummeted into sorrow, not to beat ourselves up, but to understand that these patterns have traversed all the family lines on this planet forever. And that's why we haven't had peace and harmony and love on the planet, and why we never would unless these things are addressed. The first step is really to embrace the part of us, not like a horrible virus we have to eradicate and destroy, but as a wounded part of us, a precious child that had this horrific experience and took on beliefs and then a pattern that then created the challenging conditions in our life. So we want to embrace the shadow part of ourselves with love and compassion.
Yes.
We also want to be watchmen and women on the wall of our consciousness, so that when a shadow aspect arrives and arises and starts running us, we quickly see it and we start moving quickly back from it so we can embrace it and work on it, heal it, and transform it. And that's the Quest 7 steps. So in the self-healing system I developed, and I also developed it as a counseling theory and healing practice like Gestalt NLP, but I call it the Ferrari model of psychological healing, so that I can train others in it and they can serve their communities. So either way, if you're getting us, either way, it is really imperative that we understand that forever we have all lived out of our shadow nature, not realizing what we were doing, because we didn't realize the difference between our authentic self, which is always positive, proactive, wise, peaceful, calm, serene, has a balanced male-female. It so has all the highest male attributes, all the highest feminine attributes. And in contrast, we have a shadow self that lets us know it's activated by fear, anger, frustration, worry, stress, unhappiness, sorrow, brokenheartedness. So it's been humanity's propensity to dwell in their shadow nature almost 24/7 and not even notice it. Great people wake up, they get a little irritated because the alarm goes off and it's so buzzing, and oh my God, I have to go back to work again. And, it just goes from there. Add a little coffee in, spike up the agitation, and by the end of the day, exhaustion or, discomfort of what happened that day, and then mulling over the unhappiness of what the other person said or did. And in this picture, you can see why the world has not changed, and
right. And I actually, and I love that, because really, just to interject here, what you're really sharing too is that there has to be a willingness to change.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, a lot of people today that have this vision encoded in their hearts are looking for someone else to solve all the problems, and a lot of people have turned to spiritual practices, which are great. Its spiritual practices help affect our spiritual body and help elevate us to a spiritual awareness. It's not effective in dealing with our psychology. And so many people use it as a means to deal with the psychology, when what really takes place is a spiritual bypass at a critical moment where we're actually accessing a part of us that's ready to be healed and transformed and ready to be cleansed from our family line and from the planet, which could be such a momentous session and ability for us to advance exponentially in our soul evolution and growth personally. Instead, I'm going to go, I feel agitated and irritated by this person. I'm going to go meditate. And off we go. And the inner aspect, I call it, the inner aspects, that was up, that was crying out in our psyche for attention and healing, that was now ready at this pivotal moment in our evolutionary cycle, is now just has to recede and goes left unnoticed and so unhealed.
Wow. Okay, so right there, that happens. I want to just stay right there at that point with you for a moment. In that moment, so exactly what you just shared, so often, at that pivotal moment of possibility for transformation, there is that tendency to recede into the private solitude of meditation. What is the alternative actualization, transformation key moment that can happen there to transform in the physical world, in the psychology, with the spiritual body intact from a holistic view?
Well, the process that I developed is 7 steps. So by the 7th step, the transformation occurs and you're not the same. Because, you see, you do not know until you start working with that inner aspect how many it represents. Okay, so it could be the core aspect and then a multitude that are ready to heal at that time. You further do not know what it's linked with in your family lineage and how many generations back mom or dad and everybody's been running it. Number 3, you really don't know its ramifications globally because we're all infested with these things, and so they form a collective unconscious patterning that is having a global movie playing out that's pretty frightening at this point. All our unhealed anger, all our unhealed rage, all of our inner violence that we've shut down and buried and locked in chains to keep from our conscious reality is still an active principle in the world, undoing the world around us. And that is why good people and people doing spiritual practices or being a great person have bad things happen to them, and continuously. So the old mode of, if I'm good, everything good will happen to me. If I'm spiritual and I do this meditation and that practice and don't eat meat or whatever people are deciding these days makes them a good person, then I won't have troubles. My life will flourish. I will be in the Garden of Eden. No, you will never be in the Garden of Eden unless these deeper, unhealed wounds, scars, belief systems, and patterns and programs are healed, because they are running. They're running below our conscious awareness, and they are affecting our lives every day. So one way to identify where your unconscious shadow aspects are running is anything uncomfortable in your life, in any area of your life, a relationship, health-wise, whatever. Next, address it. If you have a charge on it, it means it's time to address. So if you get a charge on something or someone, or you're dealing with a grave financial thing or a relationship issue, and you're feeling the constraint or the emotions of it, that is when you move into your healing focus. Okay, so in life, I'll finish in 1 second. In life, we're either in one mode or another. We're cruising along, or you're in the healing process. So ideally, we want to cruise along in our authentic self, proactive, positive, forward-moving, inspired, excited, joyous, happy, peaceful, calm. When we have an issue up and we're challenged, the ideal, and this is very easy to master, very easy to apply. I've made it as simple as possible. I've had teens doing it, kids doing it, elderly doing it. When an issue's up, you now turn your focus internal. Don't worry about what Fred said. Fred's a triggering person of this thing. You needed Fred because you needed this up, because it's time for it to be up. It's time today for it to be healed in yourself, in your family line, and on the planet. Thank you, Fred. That doesn't mean I'm going to go to dinner with you again, but thank you, Fred.
Right.
So what you were saying was, how can we have that transformational moment instead of spiritually bypassing and missing the moment? It is to do an inner healing process. And as I said, I spent years developing this, and I call it a Ferrari model of psychological healing, because if there was anything more advanced I could put into this process that would give you the level of depth, the transformation, the actualization of your greater potential, and the knowledge and understanding of how it wove through your family line and in the collective, I would have it in there. And so it's a very fast process that you can actually, I do in 7 minutes, 10 minutes. If it's a
Wow.
big epic session, I can do it in 10 to 20.
Wow.
When I was training my son in it, my youngest son, he would do just epic sessions in 20 minutes. A lot of times when I'm working with someone, I like to go an hour or two, because we can take so many pieces and allow the person, a slower journey with it to really get all the aspects and understand the full ramifications of it. And the immediate experience as you pass into the 7th step is transfiguration. You are transfigured. That angst, that heartache, that pain, that anger at Fred is transformed with the underlying patterns and the history that particular part of you was creating. You are now on a new future line without that aspect's going to bring all that mess into your life. You are in your authentic self. You feel crystal clear and illumined. And now you're getting in touch with, wow, who you really are. And I've had people find me that I've worked with who never, ever in their whole 60 years got to feel and know who they really are.
Wow. Well, I love that, and I'm laughing too, because you and I have had some wonderful correspondence in the last week, but really before we even emailed this week, I kept having this really interesting image of me driving a Ferrari. And I've never had that before.
Wow.
I know, so it's so funny that you just said it's the Ferrari model.
Yeah, well, I would say your soul is in for acceleration.
That's so great.
Acceleration.
And I'm just really enjoying everything that you're saying so much. And what I love about what you're sharing, and what I think is really important to identify here, is something that I've noticed in a lot of different conversations across many spiritual disciplines, is there's, regardless of how hard someone has worked, or how many consultants or intuitives or facilitators or coaches someone has worked with, I see so often this resistance to conflict. And I'm very different, and I think it's because I have such a wonderful, I had an experience where I spent some time with someone once, and I see conflict, or for example these charge points, as such opportunities for creativity and for illumination. And so, when conflict arises, I no longer run from it or fear it, or it's kind of this exciting possibility of, okay, what's going to happen now? How am I going to grow? Okay, I'm really PO'd. So how am I going to expand? It becomes this uplifting journey. Does that make sense?
It does, exactly, because that is actually one of the byproducts of doing this work. Because what I train people to do, and what I've offered in the books, as people can do this as a self-healing system, is that when you master this art, which is very simple and basic, like I said, when an issue's up, you're doing your healing process, you're doing the 7 steps. You can let it percolate for some hours, but you really want to get to it within 24 hours and ideally that day. What happens as a byproduct is you start being very comfortable with what has been always forever uncomfortable aspects of the human nature. So you get to the point in doing this work that if a big angry part comes out, you're almost jumping up and down and clapping because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to access more of my lost power. Because anger is a big vat of power, but it's operating in your psyche under the shadow side and largely disowned because if you're
or trapped.
If you're a nice person, you'll disown it. If you're more out of control person, you'll scream and yell all the time and, wreck all your relationships and ruin life things. But either way you play it is you get high blood pressure and a heart attack on one method, and the other method of dealing with anger, you get, cancers and, immune shut down, and you have no passion and joy. So when you actually have a method like this, which is so exciting that we have methods today, and of course the Quest I love the best, so I've trained in all the other major ones, and they're all so valuable and came in the early last century. I love the Quest so much. I do it all the time. It just kicks in. It's like when you need to eat, you eat. And when you need to go to bed, you go to bed. And when it issues up, you heal it. And when, you need nature, you go into nature. It becomes a part of your lifestyle. And it's a way also, it's such a masterful way to handle relationships. For instance, I had an experience just this week where this individual really activated in me just anger and outrage. It was a male pattern, that unconscious pattern toward women that started playing out in the individual, and this outrage and all this energy came up in me. I never said anything to that person in those moments that I was having all this. My attention was within, going, oh wow, whoa, this is huge. This is huge anger. Oh my God, no wonder all women forever have been under this experience, and there's a vat of rage, permeating the psyches of women on this deep level, a vat of volcanic, lava of upset over women's, treatment of women forever, and of course indigenous cultures, the earth, etc. And I was like, wow, this is big. And so it was so big that over the next days, as I silently retreated from this person, I wasn't really answering texts or anything, I just retreated into myself. And it was 4 different sessions that were so landmark and epic. My soul would not have wanted to miss this. Because who I am today, because that happened last week, is such an amazing, more advanced model of myself.
Oh, that's such a great way of looking at it.
Than
yes.
7 days ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Thank you, Fred. No, his name's not really Fred, but thank you, Fred, right?
Right.
Okay, well, thank you, Fred. And thank you, all the Freds that ever messed with my life, because I'm one powerful, amazing woman. And we can all keep actualizing our potential and coming into greater empowerment and clarity and confidence of who we are by these people poking and doing all their stuff to us. We can use every last experience to our advancement and keep emerging more glorious, more amazing, more incredible, more beautiful, more youthful, more passionate, and more alive.
Wow. Well, I love it. So just to circle back a little bit to the book, then what is your ultimate wish as you continue your work and as you just, I think align with certain levels of peace and certain visions of peace. What is your vision for humanity as each of us really stands in our responsibility to co-create in our physical world?
I am so excited that I've been gifted since my teens an ability to see what is going on this planet. I feel so enriched continually by it because I see it. I constantly see it. And I'd like to share, and I did share in the book, what that looks like. While I was also awakened in my teens to the dire potentials before us, things I had never heard about but later read about in Casey and other works, I saw I had been born into a time with the biggest global disaster potentials that the world's ever faced all at once. And of course, we hear about these things daily on the news, and we see them, and we're affected and infected by them. At the same time, I was given visions of this extraordinary future that many souls had come to Earth to help birth, that by their awakening, that coming into the love that is their true natures, by shedding, dissolving, and transforming these shadow aspects, they would arise en masse and being conduits of light to their higher selves and to the divine realms. So many archetypes, new architecture, a flood of music books, a flood of new programs, and new systems would come into our world. And that is happening. And we're having such an amazing time of change, of a great shift right now, because the old systems are being showcased before all of our eyes, paraded with the old mechanisms, the greed and fear-based realities, taking advantage of others, taxing nations and people, misusing, mistreating indigenous cultures, women, children. Because we have media today, we're all awake and aware of the ills of humanity, and valiant souls are rising up with fire in their hearts who are encoded with the vision of the transformed world, who I believe, having worked with tons of them, seen tons of them on the planet, are here for that specific purpose, and who I actually call the violet people, because I noticed that the prevailing theme of this time, and within this group soul, these group souls, is personal and planetary transformation. And when you understand the different vibratory rates of the different color spectrum, and you understand violet is the highest, a very high dynamic frequency of healing, transformation, and change, and now is even used in with medical instruments for healing, you can see that we've really entered a violet age, an age of just amazing personal and planetary transformation going on. And the keynote of it all is resonant in these souls that were born throughout the world, into every nation, into every people, from every religious ideology and background. And the exciting thing, as I studied and started bringing this information to my Earth 2012 books, is that all of us who are in this awakening, who are participating as the front runners, who are initiating and seeding the planet with new technologies, new vision, new energy, new sources, new music, higher forms of education, that we were prophesied before our time, that all of the Indian nations individually knew that at this time of darkness, when the world would really be coming into a pretty scary place with the pollution and all the things they didn't know back in their day, that the rainbow warriors, they called them, because of being born from every racial color and background, would come and be the way showers, the teachers, and the healers to help bring humanity into the new world. And what's so exciting with this book, 2013 Messages of Peace, and that it's being launched in the beginning of this year, this important year, 2013, we've seen the shift that was spoken of with the Mayan calendar and how a whole big long cycle has ended and a whole new, exciting, vibrant cycle has begun with its limitless possibilities. And we see that here where this first wave of violets have entered the planet, and look at what has taken place. Look at all the human empowerment and all the other movements that are birthed. Look at all the hundreds of thousands of organizations, projects, businesses, and activities on Earth now for positive planetary change. There is a radical shift taking place that largely most people can't see because everyone is inundated with the news, and the news is not reporting this really important side. And I guess that's why I've been so compelled to bring it out in all my books and to share about it, so that people today can take heart and know this is all taking place, and in the future, the world is transformed. The world is in peace because we came, we took on the ills of humanity, the patterns, the programs from these family lines. We healed and transformed those patterns, transfigured ourselves, and brought ourselves back to the true, living, spiritual beings that we are. And we were vessels of amazing offerings like this book into the world. And because of us and those who will come after us, the world is changed. The world is not the same world in the future. The world is what is called a golden age, an Eden. A return has taken place, and the earth is a Garden of Eden.
Wow. Well, I feel pretty complete with that. That's such a powerful image, and it is absolutely the mission and the focus of the book to stand in alliance with everyone else right now on the planet who's committed to co-creating and co-facilitating exactly what you just described. So I just want to reiterate, you have so much experience. You have 35 certificates and degrees in advanced healing methods, as well as a BA, a master's, and a PhD in psychology. And so I just really am tickled to have someone with your experience and your scope and your perspective and your transpersonal presence at this time in this kind of work, because it's so needed, and it's so beautiful, and it's so exciting. It's really actually very exciting. So before we close, would you please just share your website and where someone can go to get information about the Quest program so that we can all be participating at this level?
Thank you so much. Yes, what I'm very excited about with some of the new releases from 2012 is now the complete self-healing system is in place. So what that means is the book, The Quest Heal Your Life, Change Your Destiny, the Quest Healing Journal, so you can be journaling your process and keep track of the patterns you're healing, and when you get back to your authentic self in each session, what action steps to take, and what insights and wisdom and things you see for your life, for your direction. This will help keep you on a path of always actualizing your highest potential and walking actually a higher destiny path than your patterns would have dictated. Then there's the 7-step CD, the audio CD, which is the self-healing technique, and it shares more information, and then it takes you through the process. And as you go through the process, you can just pause the CD and do step 1 in your journal and just continue through the 7 steps. All of my products so far, there are 34 healing-inspired, life-transforming music, books, audio CDs, and they can all be found under my name, Aurora Juliana Ariel, under Amazon at amazon.com, and put all, and you'll see all pages and pages of the products. You can also go on my personal website, http, of course, all that, Aurora Juliana with 1 N, Ariel, ARIEL.com. And you can see more about the Institute of Advanced Healing and the Quest University that's bringing out the Quest worldwide, and the rehabilitation model that I created now to go into prisons to help youth at risk, abused women, vets with PTSD, and addicts. And I'm very excited to align with Illumined others, and also for those vehicles to get the funding right now so that we can do the first prison project and implement these models in these different forums that are already doing a great job. But the Quest really is that missing last piece that will drive the success and really heal and transform so many lives within those systems and programs. You can also find out on my website and the IOAH.org website about the different healing programs: total life transformation, miracle weight loss, addiction release, relationship healing, women's retreats, all kinds of really great offerings. You can also find my free book, The Quest, Heal Your Life, Change Your Destiny, the digital copy. And if you don't mind not having a hard copy, a paperback copy. And also you can see about the courses. There are 7-level courses. So I love to be invited to places in the world where I can give levels 1, 2, and 3 to lay people, training people in different areas how to do the quest for themselves, how to walk this life mastery path, how to keep actualizing their potential and fulfill a higher destiny and bring out their offering, and work it with relationships, how to use it in your relationships, and also how to bring heaven on earth in your life experience. Those are levels 1, 2, and 3. The upper levels provide training and certification for those that want to be life coaches and counselors with the Quest, a spiritual leader in our organization, and even become a minister. And it allows people to open chapters and centers in their areas and serve their communities. So there's a lot of room for people to play. Of course, becoming a master of the Quest is an essential element to be a part of the team, because as everyone knows, you can create the most beautiful organizations and projects, but it is the human personalities and the shadow side of those personalities that invariably undo them. So there's a high standard for participating, but there's wonderful, wonderful programs where I journey with you one-on-one for a year and help you completely transform your life on every level, and it's really a joy. And that's how I train the counselors, life coaches. You go through the full total transformation process, and you master your psychology as well as becoming a master counselor and life coach. So you've done a ton of inner work out the gate, and you are really at this illumined place to then be a shining light for others.
Wow. Well, I thank you so much for this time. It's such a pleasure. I'm really just tickled because I know that you're about to do some traveling and you may not be available. And so it's really fun that we were able to connect. And I'm just so, I'm touched really, because it's the evolution of the book has been so magical and so mystical, and your words at the beginning are really wonderful. We've got you in part 1, we've got a foreword with Dr. Raj Kumar, and we've got such a strong body of work, of wishes and ideals and beautiful images from all of these people. So thank you so much for your time and for your, I think it's just the word illumination really comes to mind. I think we're all participating in a certain level of illumination, and I'm really delighted to be standing next to you and everyone else. So
I am too. I'm so grateful to have connected with you, to see your vision and your heart and your amazing spirit and your offering. And I know through our talks how much work you've done, inner work, and preparing yourself to be a vessel of something this illumined and wondrous and beneficent for all the people that will partake of it. It truly is manna from the heavens. And the more we align with our higher selves, the more all of these gifts can flow forth to humanity. And all of us together, it truly is a time of an amazing, illustrious global renaissance and a vast awakening of humanity. And it is exciting, and your book is exciting, so thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Oh, my pleasure. Everyone's pleasure. We all we all get to share the pleasure at this point. That's so wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And Aurora, it's really just I'm just so delighted to be connected. So aloha.
Aloha and aloha everyone.